Adam, welcome to the show. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good. How are you?
Pull that microphone in a little bit closer. Yeah, come on, rookie. You're not my 99.
I'm used to having it clipped to me, so this
I'm
is big
sorry.
time.
All right, so we got Adam DiPietro, the senior manager of USA Today, senior manager of business development for USA Today Sports. We got Clay Schweitzer here on his second appearance on the Sports Biz podcast. So we're going to talk a little bit about, yesterday with Clay, we talked about his journey as a senior in college and breaking into the industry. And I think with you, we've known each other for probably close to almost 20 years now. And you were green when I first met you and right out of college for the most part. And look at you now. You're a big boy now.
Still think of myself as a little bit, not as green.
So talk about just talk about your career and how you started off and kind of how you got to the point where you are now.
Sure. Out of college, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, like a lot of people, right? So I interned at the Pepsi Arena in Albany, just moving tickets to different events, concerts, family events, really the ones that are struggling to sell. So we got thrown in that mold very, very early, and then quickly I moved over to selling for the arena football team. That's actually where I met Rob, who was the general manager of the Albany Conquest team.
Go Conquest!
And yeah, I mean, just getting your start selling tickets is probably a very familiar story with a lot of people that are in sports.
Yep.
If you prove you can sell tickets to events, especially group sales, you stick around. And really from there, what I really wanted to do, versus going the ticket route was, selling sponsorships, selling partnerships into different events at the arena. I got really interested in that, designing different programs for different sponsors. I remember Geico was the first deal I ever did there. I just found a really neat, place in the Pepsi Arena that wasn't being used, and made a couple phone calls, and a couple weeks later we had a huge Geico sign there. So that's kind of where it started. And I started looking at the building inventory. And I just really kind of spun off from that and started designing different opportunities for exposure, engagement that really hadn't been done before at that arena. And that's really where I think I found my niche, was looking at the arena from a brand perspective. Other than your traditional signage and video scoreboard commercials, and how can we stand out? And I used to stand at the front door and ask people literally when they'd walk out of the arena, what partnerships, what brands you remember seeing in there. And a lot of people weren't sure. They named a few here and there, but they couldn't really name. They didn't really have that catalog when they walked out. So that's when I knew there was an opportunity to take advantage of people at the doors or on the concourse level, or activate walking into the arenas and doing things like that to really capture people's attention and engage with them. And got pretty successful at doing that, started doing multi-arenas. But then, there's only so far you can go with a building. When that kind of filled up, I had an interesting opportunity come up with NASCAR. They wanted to get into the camping space and franchise campgrounds around the country. So I actually came in with a private company out of Saratoga and started to develop new plans on how to activate the NASCAR sponsorships in the camping space, how to engage different markets and really take that programming that they were committed to on track and just create an off-track environment to do that. So we did that for a few years. I started my own business with NASCAR, a licensed company called the NASCAR Campground Network. We grew to about 60 locations, and really the main focus for me getting into that world was to just create another platform for sponsors to engage. It was, to me, one of those last frontiers that people weren't engaging with, the campgrounds, and it's not something you'd normally think of to do that. But you have a captive audience there. You got critical mass for 3-4 days. They live at these properties. Organically, we saw that they were watching NASCAR on the weekends already, so we kind of planted our flag there and put the NASCAR brand on that and started selling into that. Did that for a few years, and then kind of came over with what you were doing at North American Sports Group, and just continued to sell and sell, and that kind of got me here at USA Today Sports. When I kind of started talking to those guys for a couple months. I'm not a guy that really comes in and just does a transactional sale. I wanted to develop, take their properties, find out what else we could do with them, evolve them, as time goes on. And so right now, really what my primary responsibilities are is kind of take some of the properties I already have, the All USA, iconic property in high school sports space, Super 25, and just kind of mold that and find different ways that we could, reshape it and repackage it and kind of just keep up with the times on that.
So I'll go back to USA Today Sports for a second, but let's take a step back. What was that trigger that went off that of the direction in your career? Was it, you really like the business development side because it fed into your creative? Was it something that was very natural to you, so you kind of gravitated that way? Relationship building, creative.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It was really the relationships. I knew early on that's kind of what I was good at, and that's what I enjoyed.
Right.
Like I said, I've known you for 20 years, and I always tell people that are trying to break in the industry or what can they do, and you heard me say this many times in some of the speeches that we went on, is that your network is your currency. And I think some people sometimes, they hear that and they walk out, and I used to tell kids, when I walk out of this room talking to 30 kids, if I don't have 30 friend requests on LinkedIn and start following my content and commenting, you missed it. You missed the boat. So I knew early on that's what I like to do. I like to get out in the world, meet people, and instead of trying to sell them kind of a catalog of deliverables, kind of learn what they're doing, design it, almost like an agency mindset. That's what I started to do early on at the arena. What are we trying to do here? We have the audience, we have them a certain amount of time. I can break up the demographics, different shows and events. But what do you need out of it? What are we trying to do? So that's kind of when I really started to drop everything else and really move into that space.
Well, I'm surprised you didn't leave us at the arena team when Monkey Boy shattered his knee jumping onto the field.
You guys tricked me.
and getting dragged off in a stretcher.
But that stuff was fun. I mean,
Yeah.
working for the Conquest, the arena football team, the things we did. I mean, it's definitely not your 9 to 5, and I wasn't looking for a 9 to 5, but that was really when I got to see things in action, things work, things not work, and what you guys did to me with Monkey Boy on my birthday in front of the crowd. Stuff's fun looking back.
Well, why not? I think the greatest thing for a sport management student to do, besides working for an agency, because I'm really big on that part of it, because I think you learn a lot, but working in minor league sports, it's going to eliminate a lot of things that your perception of what the sports industry is like.
Right.
And, the hours that have to go into it, the pressure that is on, the flow of selling tickets and everybody doing a little bit of everything. So to be hands-on, right, and to understand, exactly what it takes to provide that great experience for the fans, and get out of your head that, yes, you got to pick up the phone. Yes, you have to go out and meet people. Yes, you have to drive business, and it's not just showing up at an event. Get you out of that comfort zone of things that you don't learn in school, and it has what applies to the industry and what the industry really is like, and how it weans people out quickly, and it burns them out and it spits them out, and next up. But the quicker you can figure out what's your strengths and what matches your strengths and personality, and you did that quickly,
Yeah, you got to get uncomfortable, and
Yeah.
And to your point, there's a lot of people that I worked with on early in our career at that level that they were, experts on what their jobs weren't. You hear all day, that's not my job, that's not my job. Where I was trying to learn what everybody was doing. I was a little bit of ops, I was a little bit of security sometimes. Sponsorship deliverables. Taking players to the airport. A little bit of everything. Just trying to learn how everything works together. And
on-field promotions.
On-field promotions, and you start to learn kind of where how everything works together, and that just kind of puts you in a different light what you want to do.
So let's segue that over to USA Today Sports. And I think a lot of people that are probably over the age of 30, maybe 35, remember USA Today Sports as being, that was kind of the go-to daily. USA Today was definitely a newspaper that was, and that business has shifted primarily, completely shifted. So talk a little bit about the platforms that you guys focus in on, the audience, which I thought those numbers were huge, and how you align yourself with properties and then the brands.
That's one of the biggest challenges that we have, is going out there and thinking that we're a print company when we're nowhere near a print company anymore. I think the circulation is under 1 million at this point, but I always ask people, USA Today Network, we're part of the bigger group here. reaches 126 million people a month. I mean, that's half America that USA Today reaches. And if I ask you what percent of that is the paper, I hear 30%, 40%. It's less than 1%. It's digital. And just the sports group alone is hitting 55 million people a month. I mean, those are monster numbers. That's actually the fourth largest. We're the fourth largest sports digital property in the country, and we're the largest that's not a non-broadcast partner. And what I mean by that is, ESPN far and away is king at number one, and then you have Fox,
NBC.
and NBC. We're all attached to a broadcast arm, so we are the largest non-broadcast arm. And I think too, what people don't understand is, USA Today Sports, they own and operate over 100 different sites. I know that they launched about a year and a half ago. We launched NFL Wire sites. It's just specific to each NFL team. Giants Wire, Steelers Wire. There's not many companies out there that have that. I think we're one of 2 or 3 that actually have that going. A year and a half after we launched those sites, it already has more traffic than USATodaySports.com in just a year and a half.
So being a content creator, what are some of the ways that you're delivering that in the digital space? So you have websites and you have articles. I mean, is there a podcast? Is there live shows that come out now? I mean, how do you distribute that?
So we have a lot of different ways that we do that. Obviously, the editorial is huge. We have 2,500 journalists, and we have over 110 local newsrooms. So when you think of USA Today Sports as being national, we're very local too. I think that's extremely unique in what we can offer. We are in these local communities. They roll up to the USA Today Sports National, and they're creating a lot of content at the local level. There's a lot of, the podcasts, we do the videos, we have our own in-house agency called Get Creative. They're shooting a ton of different video branded content. And, what really made, specifically the NFL Wire site so successful is it's very social, very shareable, snackable information. It's very quick to the point. They're not very long articles at all. Very
snackable, huh?
Very snackable.
I've never heard about that one. You and I think of snacks totally different.
This is snackable. Just think about it. People consume so fast, and they're flowing
Right.
through. And you
Love
put
that.
videos out there; they got to be 30 seconds or less. And,
Right.
They have to be appealing without sound. Most people are flipping through; they're not listening to sound. So there's a lot you have to do to grab their attention in that 10, 15 seconds. So when we produce that, it has to be shareable and it has to be able to spread quickly. And that's where we've seen the most growth in the Wire sites. They're able to do that.
So talk about your partnerships. Talk about what you guys do with high school, with college, with NFL, and some of the major leagues. And then how do you position yourselves with brands within those properties? And what's your activation like? What are you doing on the digital side?
So one of the big properties I work on, extremely successful, multi-year deal, is we have a deal with Amway where we promote the Coaches Poll Trophy. So we work with the AFCA,
College football.
college football space. So we put out the weekly poll, with the journalists and the writers, and then we also work with Amway, who sponsors it. So they have a lot of adjacencies to the content. But one thing that's really neat about that, from a media perspective, is we do a lot more than just kind of the digital and the print. There's so much more that goes on to that. We have a great relationship with the Coaches Association where we work directly with Amway, off the page, off the websites and things like that. We'll go and activate in different markets and leverage the coaching relationships. We do a trophy tour where we go to all the big games and we have the trophy on site, and we do a lot of in-market activation with Amway. We go to a lot of their events. So that's a property that there's a ton going on there. It's a complete 360. I know a lot of people throw that around, but this is complete 360 partnership with the multi tentacles to it. High school space, that's one where our the local properties really come into play with us. Obviously, a national company can't be in every market, but our locals can. So, the Super 25 is an historic 35-year plus property, I believe, at this point, that ranks all the different high schools. I think it's across 17 sports.
Per state.
Yep, per state, and then it rolls up into a national. So we're able to not only control those rankings, but it's a combination of journalists and computer rankings. So we've been doing that for 30 plus years. And it just gives the ability to brands to go into different markets. We celebrate the different teams. We go on site and do a lot of the trophy presentations. We can do a lot of content, organic content, but it's looking at a national brand like USA Today that has a ton of local penetration, and that's what's really, really important in the high school space. And then, the second big franchise, All USA, that's been around again for 30 years as well. And that ranks the elite athletes, the best of the best, before they go to college, before they're household names. We do that across boys and girls sports as well. I think we announce over 32 teams throughout the year, preseason rankings. We do in-season checkups and different content around that, and then we do postseason awards as well.
So you still do the All-American teams?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. So for football and for was it
17 sports there as well.
So it's a USA Today Sports kind of all New York team, all Florida team,
Correct.
and then an All-American team
Yep.
on
And they
top
roll
of
up
that.
to the All USA. Yep. We do that
Nice.
as well.
You got any questions for him, Clay?
Yeah, bringing you back, how did you really get that confidence to be able to, when you're in ticket sales, to be able to go to your supervisor and say, hey, there's this area that we can use advertisement for Geico?
It's common sense, really. I mean, you look at different spaces, and I think advertising too. It's you want it to be creative. You want it to add something. You're not just looking for signage and to put stickers on things like that. You want it to bring something to the event. I think it's involving those brands on site, letting them be a true partner instead of being an advertiser. Right. And I think we've done a lot of unique things where it brought value to the consumer. It brought value to what we're trying to promote. We're trying to sell tickets. You got to put on an experience. I think it can all feed into that. We did a lot of neat things. First one that comes to mind is like the U.S. Army. They would set up our block parties and have obstacle courses. And, I know they're there to recruit, and sometimes recruiting is a little bit uncomfortable, and it's kind of met with some resistance. But if you do it in a way where it's comfortable, where people are coming to them versus them going out and engaging with people, it's just a safe way to do it. I think everybody was aboard, and they brought a lot of value to it, not only for being a sponsor, help promoting our events, and just bringing different activations every weekend. Really carved out a space for them at the block parties. So the community see them as kind of, thanking them, they're heroes, talking with them. So now you got people approaching the sponsor, thanking them, shaking their hands, getting a picture with these guys versus, I know sometimes it's tough when they go into high schools or their cafeterias. I think this just put them in a much more positive situation.
You got another one?
Or later on in the show, I'm sure.
Okay.
I'm sure I will.
So, what kind of advice do you give college students who are coming out, who are trying to break into the industry? What are those key things that they should know? Like, what do you guys look for as far as skill sets and experience?
We would look for somebody that's, has a lot of different abilities. Do they have their own audience? Like, we're talking like with digital, kind of what you do. You built an audience. You're going out there and you're trying to build something. It's
Multiple skill sets.
multiple skill sets. And what I always tell people is, don't chase the dollar. If you're chasing salaries, you'll be moving around this business forever, and you'll never settle. Get into where you are and just do the best that you can, and that will be a reward or almost a consequence of you doing well, being successful. That stuff will come. But in sports, you've got to be prepared to move around a little bit, get banged around, and different cities, different opportunities, but always stay in touch with your contacts, see what they're doing. I think you bring this point up a lot actually on your show, and it makes a ton of sense. Is LinkedIn's a great tool. It's a free tool to use. You can see what people are doing out there, but too many people jump on a platform like that network when they need something, and they need a job. You know who needs jobs when they're on LinkedIn because they're on there every day, and they disappear for 3 or 4 years, and then they're back. There's a lot you can do out there that doesn't cost money to do, but you got to invest some time and energy and stay with it.
That was a huge pet peeve of mine. I had that article was read over 250,000 times.
250,000 times.
Yeah. So that was a great one for me. And it was reactionary because so many people that reach out to you, they're constantly reaching out to you, but in business in general, people ask you for advice, they ask you for help, then I'm more than happy to give them to them, right? But then all of a sudden they become big britches. They get that nice job with the credit, with their business card that has a nice logo on it that everybody remembers, and then crickets. Then it's time to return a favor. I got someone who else needs help.
And I'm guilty of that. I've done that early in my career as well.
Right.
I mean, that was me.
Yeah.
I learned the hard way, and that's why when I read that, it was funny because I did that.
Yeah.
I was definitely, somebody who was proud of some things early on and kind of, was in and out of the space a little bit. But I've learned to kind of watch what people are doing. I know you and I have connected on all the things I did not know you were doing.
Yeah.
I'm here today for the Walter Camp,
Yeah.
Ward Foundation weekend. That
Yeah.
by following you on LinkedIn, learning you were a part of that,
Yeah.
I never would have known. And
Yeah.
just keep it up with people, and just trying to learn what they're doing and stay in touch. And I think you do that better than anybody.
It's just a natural thing. Yeah, I wish I did that better with my, probably friends that I grew up with.
Maybe not. Some
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah. But I think after a while, you just, especially in business, it just, you plant the seed and it's there for a long time, and you have nothing else but your network. And it'll carry you forever. I used to say all the time, I've never had a resume. I never had a resume. So LinkedIn became my resume, and I don't think I ever needed one really.
Right.
So I don't know. It's it's important. It's definitely important. Your network.
And you'd be surprised how much you run into these people along the way. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of people kind of stay in these same type of industries.
Yeah.
Just last night, I'm working on a pretty big partnership, and it's been taking a while. And I found out it gets to a decision maker, one of the biggest brands in the world, and it's a guy I used to know from NASCAR, and I didn't even know.
It's crazy, right?
You never know.
No, you never know. So let's talk about. We have about 5 minutes left, and we want to talk about NFL playoffs. So this past week we did the predictions 2 shows ago, and we did it with David Fulcher,
Yep.
and he made a bold Super Bowl prediction, and
What
so
was that?
we'll get to it. But so we want to. So you're in on this. So
Okay.
you're in on this. And Monday we're going to go back and we're going to have another Sports Biz podcast and we're going to review. So we're going to go through each game starting with Saturday 4:30 game. You got Colts Chiefs. Chiefs at home. Who are you going with?
I'm gonna roll the dice with the Chargers.
Chiefs or Colts?
Oh, I'm sorry, the Colts. I meant the Colts.
Gee
I'm gonna roll the
whiz.
Colts. I'm already off to a bad start.
You're off to a bad start. You're going Colts?
I'm going Colts. They're playing
I
hot
like
right
it.
now, and that's all that matters, right?
All right. Cowboys Rams.
I gotta go with the Rams.
Everybody's got that one.
No disrespect to the Cowboys.
No, let's. Yeah, a lot of disrespect
Shouldn't
to the
have won that
Cowboys.
last game.
As a Giants fan.
Right.
Yep.
You're both Giants.
Giants,
fans.
there you go.
Giants fans,
Yeah. All right. Sunday, 1:00 game. Here, I'm going to save this one for last. So we'll go to 4:00 game. Eagles Saints.
Saints.
Everybody's there. Chargers Pats.
That's the Chargers.
You're on the Chargers on this one as well, huh? All right, because you hate the Patriots so much. It's an
They
emotional
gave us-
thing.
they
Doing
gave us
some
2
emotional
Super
picks like
Bowls,
me.
yeah.
That's how I kind of
Right.
rolled the dice.
I love the Patriots for the 2 Super Bowl trophies.
Well, that's true too.
I like road teams in the playoffs. We've seen the Giants do it. They went on the road, won all
well
those
done.
games, and it's just I don't know. There's something about your backs against the wall or away teams, and I love that.
Chargers, there's something in them this year, right?
Yeah, I mean,
There's something in them.
you've done it. You've played road games and
Yeah.
big games in college and high school, and it's just,
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something different when you screw your cleat in the ground at an away place. It's just everybody's against you, and it's just different. I can't explain it.
It is.
And
Us
football's
against
an
the world.
emotional game.
Yeah, I agree. Prediction for you went Chiefs, Rams, and Chargers, Saints. Who do you got in the Super Bowl then? Who are you
Super
thinking?
Bowl.
Who are you thinking?
I like the Saints to get there.
All right.
I'm gonna have to roll with the Chargers. I think this is the year they get it done.
Chargers, Saints, and who you got winning it?
I'm gonna have to go with the Saints this year.
Saints. All right.
They look pretty complete to me.
So, who'd you
Very,
have again?
very sim- I had,
Don't
I
bet
had
on
the
that.
Colts.
That's
I had
right.
the Colts going all the way.
You had the Colts. So you and Fulcher had New Orleans. Yeah. So it'll be interesting.
They can run, they can throw, and for once, they can play defense. I
Yeah.
haven't seen them being able to play defense in the Drew Brees era. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone. I think I got. It's going to be someone different than I don't think anybody saw it coming. I wouldn't put it. I personally like to see the Saints do it. I just think they're a fun team to watch, and
Well, that's what's great about the NFL. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like 3 seasons in one. You got
Right.
the first half of the season, you think and the second, it's who's playing well now, and that's what's so great about the parity in the NFL. You're
Yeah.
not getting Alabama, Clemson every year, and
Right.
it's just it really is a toss-up every year in the playoffs. The Patriots have been the one team that's been able to get through that, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. There's a lot of parity and a lot of exciting stuff going on right now. So.
there is. All right, so we got your picks. So Monday night, you better be watching live so you could hot dog on this. Last question, Clay. You got one last parting gift. We got about 2 minutes left.
Yeah, just on a sales side, bringing you back. Besides like bringing value, obviously, to the other partner and building that network, like you said, what's another key to success to like land your deals and partnerships?
You gotta keep going every day. You're going to strike out a lot.
Okay.
You are going to strike out a lot, and I think that's the frustrating part. I think, working hard, you have to do that, or you have no chance. I know people say you got to work hard. You got to work hard. Well, that is part of it, but that doesn't guarantee anything. It really doesn't. It's not giving up, I think, is what guarantees you a shot. I can't tell you how many deals that we've lost versus what we won. It's like baseball. You batting at 250, you're doing well, and it's probably a little bit less. You're doing well in sales, but working hard. If you don't do that, then this is not for you. That's a given. If you're not going to do that, then it's funny when we interview people and they say they're a hard worker. It's like, well, yeah, you don't get points for that. But it's not giving up, and that's the key. It's just staying with it and staying with it. The working hard part of you. That's got to be in you.
Yeah. All right. Adam, great job. Thank you for coming down to the tropical paradise of New Haven, Connecticut. Right? Second to Troy, New York.
Well, there's a lot of good eateries here.
Yeah, we got to get them some New Haven Pete's.
Yeah.
Pete's.
So you got to do it.
We've been talking about it for 20 years. So
Everybody knows the rules, buddy. Well, thanks again for joining us, Clay, Adam. Thank you. We appreciate it. The Sports Biz Podcast presented by Game Plan U. Boom.
Does Game Plan U actually pay for this, or just getting some watermark on that?
That's all.